What's up everyone, this is Don from the Sci-Fi here with a video of 3089. This game came out around 2 weeks ago. You can get it on Steam for $10. The game does have some quick tips and a game guide, and I highly recommend you read through all of this. It seems like there's a good amount there, but it's well worth your while if you want to have a good start in this game. And that's what I'm really here for, is to help you get a really good start in this game, a good strong start, because I've noticed some people, in spite of these guides, are having a little bit of trouble getting started from what I've read on the internet. So here you'll notice there are 7 different classes. Don't worry too much about which class you choose here. There are no long-term consequences to this. This just determines where your first 12 points go. I would suggest choosing either leader or custom, especially for your first playthrough. And the reason for that is the prestige element of leader, or if you're choosing custom, you can put points into prestige, and that's very important if you want to have followers. And it's a good idea to have followers because these bots, they aim really well, being robots and all. So you need cover or you need friends, and sometimes when you're out in the field doing a quest, cover is not an option. But if you bring a good amount of teammates along, then they will help interfere a bit with the enemy. They'll aim at your teammates instead of you, and they can provide a little bit of cover themselves. So that's highly recommended. You start with some amount of prestige. When we get into the game here, I'm going to distribute my points first thing, and I'm going to start with 3 points in prestige, and then depending on when we go around trying to recruit some teammates, depending on how much luck we have with recruiting them, I may add another point or so to prestige, but generally 3 points is enough. I'm going to mostly ignore these messages because this time anyway is not a let's play. I'm just trying to give you a good start, quick start guide here. I'm going to put 3 points in prestige. We're going to put 4 points. 4 points into stealth. And the reason for that is there are a good number of quests where your task is to either plant a bug on an enemy or to spy on an enemy for a certain amount of time, and stealth helps tremendously with that. Of course, not to mention if you want to do melee kills or simply just get by some enemies unnoticed, very useful skill. The other points we're going to put into guns. That one's pretty self-explanatory, I think. And if you just read along the side here, this really explains the skills pretty well for the most part. The only thing is burden. You don't really get a lot of explanation on how this works early on. You'll notice here our limit of burden is 20, but that's not really a hard limit. I've more than doubled the burden limit with the items I've obtained, and you can still move, you can still jump, just not very fast and not very high. So that's something to keep in mind. You increase your burden limit by putting points into agility. You basically get two levels of burden increase with every 1 point in agility. Now, another issue with burden is certain items that you'll get later on, which I'll explain when we come across a special station. The special items are various items that help you move around or help you trick the enemy, that sort of thing, but they have a burden limit of their own. As I said, I'll cover that when we get to it. Meanwhile, we have our points distributed now. I saved 1 point there in case I need it for prestige. Generally 3 is enough. First thing, we're going to look into the map here and see where we need to go. It did set us a waypoint here, but that just has weapons, no armor. It's not always the best option that has armor, no weapons. Okay, this has weapons, armor, and backup. A little bit of everything. Perfect. We're going to head over to that building and get pretty much everything we need there in one shot. And as you see, I move pretty quickly now, can jump pretty high, and that's because I have 0 of my 20 burden used up. Let's see if we can get some people to join us. Okay, you saw the first one. He wouldn't follow me because he was following her. But when I had her join me, then they both joined me. So that is pretty convenient. let's see if we can collect a couple more on the way over to the building. They're near a turret, so chances are they are protecting this turret and will not follow us. And that is indeed the case. It's a turret, guys. Come on. You don't really need to protect it. It's kind of self-protecting. Crates. As in most video games, a good idea to go after crates. There's a lot of items, and these probably about 50% of the crates will have items that you can then sell or sometimes use. And in fact, in the start of this game, you can go around to different crates and get pretty much all of your starting items that way, if you're patient enough. I prefer just to use what little money they give you at first to do it the easy way, the quick way. That crate is red, and if you've been playing video games any amount of time at all in your life, you'll know that is explosive. Do not go over there and press E on that to use it to open it up, because it will explode in your face and hurt you. You need a gun and a bit of distance to open that safely. This floating clock looking item, that is part of your Timerip ability. In the upper right hand corner, when I get this, you'll notice I now have 3 seconds. You can have up to 15 seconds total, and when you hit T to use the Timerip ability, everything around you will stop moving. All enemies, all friendlies, only you can move. And you can fire repeatedly, change your position, whatever you want. And when you turn off the Timerip ability, time starts again, and you'll see the results of your actions. Very handy, 15 seconds maximum, use it wisely, and make sure it's full before you go out on a quest, ideally. Okay, armor. Let's start here. We have to be pretty conservative here in the armor that we choose, because we don't want to not have enough money to get a decent weapon. And don't worry too much about what you get here initially, because it will not be too long at all before you can get better items. You'll pick up some better items. It's really not worth worrying about too much early on. Your weapon is a little more important, but again, you bring enough friends along, and that's not really an issue either. I'll explain some of these other stations here in a moment. First, let's get our weapon. Okay, not a lot of options in this particular station. Energy launcher, don't have anywhere near enough money for that. So, we'll go with a handgun. Not a lot of damage, and it's not an energy weapon. And that means, oh, the shot range is pretty poor. Accuracy not great. Not a great weapon, but that's okay. We're starting with this. But since it's not an energy weapon, it uses ballistics, we need an ammo pack. So, get our ammo pack, and you'll notice there is 250 remaining there. That's not 250 shots, just to be clear. This weapon uses 1.8 ammo per shot, so it's going to use up 1.8 of that each time, and when you run out, you are out of luck. You can shoot no more. If you have a knife or something that's great as a backup, we're not going to have enough money for that right now. The good thing about an energy weapon is it pulls from your energy pool over here, and even if it's only at 25%, if you use all that up, it will regenerate up to 25%, as will your health. So that's one way you're never completely out of ammo. And of course, you can go to that energy station down below, which we'll do in a moment, and you can increase this up to 100%. Other items, like the special items, pull from your energy as well, like the teleporter and the gravigun and stuff like that. Okay. Energy station works just like, the health station works just like the energy station. So I'll show you the energy station, since that's one we can actually use here. I have 25% energy right now. If I use this, it's going to cost me 30 credits, and that will give me 100% energy. And of course, the cost is directly proportional with how much of a percentage and overall how many energy units you need to gain to get to 100%. In this case, it's 30, so I have 100%. And this is very important. The game auto-saves very regularly. You don't have to worry about that, quitting the game at any time. It'll save your progress. That's not an issue. But this backup, what it will do, it will allow you to respawn right at this point, and also when you reload the game, it'll start you here. So it's nice to have a predictable point where you start back at. In addition, when you do die, the penalty is that you'll lose one or more items and you'll lose some credits. Being attached to an actual backup station limits your loss. It does cost some credits, but it's kind of proportional with your level. Or actually more like it's proportional with how far away you are from the starting area. So not a lot of cost there at this point. Now we're going to go up and get a quest. Get our first quest. Okay, the quests, there are always 12 at each station, at least all the ones I've come across so far. And the higher you go up in the quest number, the more difficult it is, the more reward you get in terms of points. And it tends to have more steps as well. Let's look at quest 12, for instance. Four different tasks, a little more difficult, no killing, you can't be detected. You know, pretty difficult, some spying. You don't want to start with those, even though the skill point reward is pretty generous. Let's go to something simple like this. Kill a gang of 4 robots. See, normally if you're starting out in the game and you don't have a lot of prestige or any prestige and don't have any followers, that might be pretty difficult. But in this case, I'm going to gather up quite a few followers and we're going to go take care of those robots without a whole lot of trouble. And then after that, we talk with Lucy. Sounds pretty easy, so let's get started on this. There's nothing else I really need here right now. They're actually pretty close by. And what do I have? 2 followers right now. I'm not comfortable with that number. I'm going to go get a few more. Let's see, this guy. This guy is standing out here in the open. Let's see what we can do here. See if we can get him to follow us. We do have that extra point if we need it. If he's over the threshold, but he's not. Actually, she. Sorry, ma'am. I did not know. Does not really look like a she, but I'm not going to say that to her face. And there are the enemies. Let's get this guy joining us and get started on this. 1 down. 2 down. This gun is not very accurate. It's taking a while to reload. Alright. Now I mentioned the reloading there. You notice I have a burst of 8. It's good to have a weapon with a high burst level because the higher the burst number, the more shots you can fire before you have to reload. Very handy indeed. I'm going to go around some crates here, pick some of this stuff up, and I should have used my Timerip ability. Totally did not think about that. I'm sure we'll get another chance to use it. And in fact, I didn't have a whole lot of time anyway, so let's build that up a little bit more. I can't help myself when I see someone just walking around, I want to recruit them, so that's what I'm going to do. Let's check our quests. Now I just have to talk with Lucy. Very simple. Very easy starter quest there. See what Lucy has to say, get her points, and then we can go after our next quest. And yet another item. Hi Lucy, maybe you'll join me after I finish this quest. Nope, she's patrolling a turret. No luck there, but that's okay. We got our 5 points. Another message, moving the story along. Speaking of story, that X over there just popped up after finishing our first quest, and what that is our first boss. Once we take out that first boss, and I'm not going to do that at this point, I want you to experience it for yourself. I suggest not doing that until you've done maybe 5 quests and distributed your points. Then you can go after that. Not a good idea until then. These guys look... Okay, they had the blue light on them. I thought they were enemies at first. You don't get too many enemies over here, but it does happen in the starting area. At any rate, after you kill that first boss, then a new type of enemy will appear, which again, I'm not going to spoil for you. You kill that enemy, which is pretty easy to find and pretty easy to kill. Then you unlock the building mode. You can start building vehicles, you can start building structures. I have not actually done that yet. I've unlocked the ability, but I haven't actually tried building anything yet. Looking forward to that for sure. Collecting all kinds of items here to sell. Now we need to find 2 things. 2 things I'm going to look for here. One is a ship, which is right over here. usually in a starting area you'll get 1 or 2 ships in your area, but there are quite a few around, so you're not going to have too much trouble finding them, generally. But there's our first ship. Try to get these guys to join us. Now the limit, like I said, there's no real hard limit to the number of followers you can get. The prestige just determines how high of a level of a teammate you can get. Some of them require, you know, where I'm at now in my other game, they're up to, I think it's 25 or so prestige required, and there's some pretty powerful teammates. But early on here, you get these guys, they're kind of fodder. They die pretty easily, but they help distract the enemy, so it's pretty useful. Let's see if I have enough prestige, or not prestige, enough piloting skill to do this. Highly unlikely. It's only 1.3. I need 5.4, which is unfortunate because, well, no, I do have enough points. Let's go ahead and do that. 5, what was it? 5.4? 5.4. Just one short. Okay. Now, these vehicles vary. Some of them have weapons, like this one obviously does, and looks kind of fast, but the speed and weaponry vary. Some will have no weapons. Oh, almost hit a wall. And this has burst of 7. You can fire off 7 shots before it has to reload, and it happens to have explosive shots. Pretty good vehicle for this early on, but it flies pretty slowly, and it kind of leaves you pretty vulnerable to enemy fire. But, like I said, later on, some vehicles, you know, the vehicles get up there just like anything else, where they require a lot of points to operate, but you get a very powerful, fast vehicle, too. So let's go ahead and get out here. Didn't check the map. The vehicle remains, it just floats downward. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's see. Well, there's the specials. I see it right there. This is something I was trying to tell you about earlier, but now I'll have something to actually show you. Here we have a decoy, and what that does is kind of what you would expect, but it sends out a ball that, you know, launches it out, and it has physics, so it'll roll down a hill, whatever you need, right click, and then it creates a decoy, something that looks like one of your friendly bots, which will draw away enemies, take their attention. It's pretty useful. The gravity gun I have not found to be of great use yet, but I've only used the very lowest level one, a level 1 gravity gun, and it can pick up crates and launch them, but it launches them pretty weakly, so I don't know that it would necessarily do much damage to enemies, so I'm not sure of the use of that yet. I'll get back to this in a second. First, I want to address this message coming up at the bottom here. Meteor Shower, seek shelter immediately. Do follow that advice. It is very good advice, and you will die out there pretty quickly if you don't. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to get most of my friendlies in here with me. Those two are on the other side. Can't get them in over here. Come on. I saved one. Saved one, it looks like. So proud of you. I feel like a mother duck, my duckling. The other two probably are not going to survive, but so it is in the wild. That's okay, I can get more. As you can see, that's doing... You can see where that would do a good amount of damage. Try to get a look at some of these here, but not get hit by them. I've yet to receive a direct hit, but just standing out here, splash damage can mess you up pretty good, so if I see one coming, I'm going to run away. Oh, okay. Like that. Did that actually hurt me? I don't think it did, but much closer than it would have. It lasts, always, it seems, that amount of time, and while the duration seems pretty consistent, I'm not sure how frequently it appears. It seems to have a consistent time between showers, but that amount of time seems different for each world, but I could be wrong about that. I haven't actually timed it or anything. Alright, let's pick up some more items. Don't need energy, and I was going to check... Well, actually, first I need to get down there and explain the rest of those special items, and then we are going to see about finding a workstation. So I explained these first two here. Now, the hoverboard. This, so far, is my favorite item. You see the burden there, 35. Supports burden 35. If you get over that, this will not move. You cannot go anywhere on this hoverboard until you come back under that burden. And it's the same for the starting teleport unit and for the grappling hook. In other areas that are farther out, when you get to the more dangerous areas, you also get better items. And currently in my other game, I have a hoverboard that supports up to 140 burden, which is pretty substantial. That leaves me a fair amount of leeway. I've been able to gather a good amount of items and still have been able to use that hoverboard. So it does get better. Don't worry too much about these starting items. But like I said, it's my kind of go-to item. Use that all the time. It's pretty fast to get you around the map quickly. The teleport unit sends out a ball much like the decoy item does, but of course the difference is when you right click with this item you teleport to that point, which is again great for getting to hard to reach areas, getting around enemies and that sort of thing. And the grappling hook is pretty self-explanatory. It just helps you get to high places and, you know, hard to reach places, that sort of thing. And that's about it for that. Let's see if we can find a workstation now. There's another quest station. We'll have another set of 12 quests. That one's pretty easy. Kill leader, or a few steps at least. And then escort Caleb. That would be pretty easy to do, but we've already seen one quest. We don't need to do that right now. Let's see if we can find a workstation. None here, unfortunately. Not there. Still out of luck. Oh no, is there not a workstation around here? Ah, there we go. Okay. There was just a meteor shower, so we should be safe for a while. I want to show you that Timerip ability before I forget. And while I would love to show you against an enemy, there aren't any enemies around here right now, so I'll just show you in the air, out in the open here. Another thing I want to say real quick, the stealth is actually kind of advanced in this game. You notice on the bottom left there, that green area that's going up and down. Green means it's friendlies that are seeing me. White means it's neutral, no one sees me. But the green, the higher it goes, the more obvious I am to them. Let's try going into stealth mode here. Notice everything goes kind of translucent, and they have a harder time spotting me. Well, it's green, so it doesn't really matter. Those are friendlies. When it's yellowish orange, that means enemies might be spotting me soon, or they're close to being able to spot me. When it turns red, they've spotted you, and either run or fight. Let's go down to the station. And what I was going to say about the stealth is, aside from that, there's also rain. Rain masks your sound somewhat, making it easier for you to sneak up on enemies, and of course you want to move slowly, quietly, no jumping or any of that stuff. And also at night, you're better at stealth. Those are things to keep in mind. The stealing skill, along with stealth, can be pretty useful. You have to have them up there pretty good, but then you steal from friendlies. I wouldn't recommend stealing against enemies, but steal from friendlies, and you're going to get a lot of items early on. Sometimes useful, but always worth money, which is always useful. So that's definitely something valuable to invest in early on. And later, too, in fact. I mean, then you just simply get better items later, and you can make a lot of money that way. So, very useful. I'm overburdened here, but that's okay. You see, I'm still moving around pretty well. But what I was going to show you here is this. We're at the workstation, and we have... Okay, this is a couple things I can show you. This is a dagger handle. Let's put that up here. This is a dagger blade, and combine. Now we have a dagger. There's a sword, and of course normally I would check through all these, spend way too much time checking to see which one is best, but I'm not worried about that right now too much. Alright, I'll check that one too. Anyway, combine this, we have a sword. Now let's add this here. We have a sword, and we didn't have to pay anything for it, so that's great. We have a weapon part, which if we had an energy rifle, we would consider switching that out, body part, with our current weapon, but we don't, so we'll just sell that. What is this too? That's a rifle silencer. You can get silencers and scopes in this, but Seems like those only apply to ballistic weapons, not energy weapons, both the scope and the silencer.
Complete.
This is, as it says, a board part for a chip. Well, level 1 chip. Anyway, you can get a chip to go into the board part, and then it's complete. You can apply it, you can install it, and you'll get the benefit of both the chip and the board. But you need a chip station to combine that. You can't do that here at the workstation. And of course, we don't have a chip currently. But that just adds some extra abilities. Always useful. And I believe I've covered everything for this start guide. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. And if you would like to see a video about building, I have to experience that for myself first, but when I do, if you'd like a video of that, I'd be happy to make it. Just depends on the response to this video. And thank you so much for watching. This has been Don of the SciFiHub.com, and I'll see you soon.